Forza Horizon 6 is clearly already in development, and a lot of people think it's gonna be in Japan. So we're gonna do a combination of things, talk about do I agree with them, why do they think it, and when we can expect to see this next possible Forza Horizon 6 Japan, because things have changed. By the way, this map is awesome. It's just for photos, so here's the card. It's pretty cool. First off, this is not an official Black Panther point, but there does seem to be a lot of Japanese-inspired events on the Playground Games pics, doesn't there? Okay, to the official points. This is Forza Motorsport, the newest one, and this is the new S15 that they added to the game. Now, keen-eyed among you and people that have, given this game time of day will know that this is actually a new S15, which is pretty amazing. This is something that they said they were going to do, and they've actually done it. Now, currently they charge for this in a DLC pack, which I think is fair. It's quite a cheap car pack. It's like £4 or something, but they've rebuilt this car and it only comes with this body kit. But let it be known, this is just an early test bed for what's to come. Forza is finally fixing its ancient, ugly, inaccurate car models. It only took 3 console generations. Yes, my friends, a lot of these car models, and still a lot in Forza that will probably remain, are actually from the original Xbox, which is insane. Of course, this also demonstrates a lighting situation, but look at the Gran Turismo model on the right versus the Forza model on the left. This is a lighting and car model situation, but you can see the detail. The Gran Turismo car model is just worlds better. Shout out MR80 for showing this, but we can actually get a proper look at the differences on the model. It is kind of crazy to look at. Look at the rear of it. Look at the proportions of the rear. Just completely different. I honestly can't believe it. Look at the size of the headlights. You can clearly tell they are now doing it properly, whereas previously, did they just look at a picture and guess? It seems like they did. And again, this is another telling image right here. Just the whole lining of the car, completely wrong. Of course, this has a wide body kit on it, but they are indeed the same wide body kit. Like, this is just crazy. So again, shout out to MR80 for that. Now, oh my goodness. Look at the engine bay as well. That detail is pretty insane to think about. We have come so far. Anyway, what's the point? How has this got to do with anything? Quite a lot of the car models that they are actually rebuilding are Japanese models. If anything, a lot of the Japanese models were the worst of the bunch. The R34 would be another one, but that's actually not getting rebuilt. At least it wasn't said that that's the case. We're now going to jump between 2 images, and one is the Stagia, one is the R34. And clearly, as you can see, there are subtle differences between it. The front body is actually wider, maybe just to fit the arches, but the whole front grille is a little different. They have actually redone this bumper, whether which one is more accurate, whatever, I don't know. I don't have this bumper. I think the standard R34 bumper is fine. It's okay. But the difference is very, very noticeable to me. So they even mentioned this one, as far as I'm aware. Please add hikers to the R34. If you don't, I'm going to be livid. Add it! Back to Forza Motorsport now, because this, I think, is pretty significant. This is Fujimi, and it was recreated for Forza Motorsport. Now, something that's obviously known is that Forza Horizon and Forza Motorsport use the same engines, except Forza Motorsport right here is currently on a newer engine, a newer version of the same engine for the next generation. Now, Forza Horizon 6 will be following suit and taking this engine, and they'll be creating their next game with it. So the lighting you see here, although will probably slightly be improved because this is obviously a little bit more flat, and the physics will be more fun. A lot of what you see here, is that man dabbing? I think he just dabbed. No, he didn't. I was mistaken. Good. A lot of the assets for this track, I think, could actually be for the next game. It would make sense, right? Think about it. You're making a map. You may as well create assets for said map to align with what is potentially the next game. Or maybe Horizon has already made these assets and you're just going to use them for this map. It kind of does 2 things at once. Think about trees in specific locations around the world. Think about the vegetation in general. Think about signage on a road. Assets just sat behind the track. The road markings themselves. All of these things could be used twice. Why would I not do that? By the way, thank you so much for everyone talking about the drift camera. I didn't even know they added it to the game. Think about the buildings, for crying out loud, that they've got here. Although simple, they're going to want to reuse assets where they can. I mean, they kept the same damn car models for what? 20 years? Oh, yeah, the drift cam is much nicer. Me likey. Me likey. Sorry, Wall. Unintentional. Oh, I love, 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 love to see it at the side of the roads as well. The pink. That's... yeah. Okay. Okay, you get the idea. Let's move on. Back to Horizon 5. This is one that you've probably heard a few times, and a few times over the different games. This is the Nissan Retro Rides car pack, and it is the latest addition to the game, including a Figaro. Who doesn't love a Figaro? And the other ones, quite frankly, I have never heard of in my life. I will be having these, thank you very much. This is common practice throughout this. Oh my god, my shirt match it. That was not intentional. Every single studio that you ever ask and any single developer that you ever ask will tell you the most expensive element of any racing game ever made is the cars. And that would make sense, actually. Amount of detail that has to be put into cars these days, because we're all rendering at 4K, and if not, it's downsampled from 4K, and you would still notice that it looks a bit shy. So cars are incredibly expensive, and especially when you've got to think about how can we source some of those cars. An R34 GTR costs £150,000. You're gonna spend the budget to spend someone's time to bring it to you, or you go to them. That's flights in some cases. It wouldn't really make sense to spend all that money on flights for cars that are kind of difficult to find. Of course, the Figaro, you can kind of find that anywhere. But the other ones, which are little, just very clearly only Japanese cars, and if they're anywhere else, likely the best place to find a pristine version of this, it would be at a museum or a collection of some kind. And realistically, if they're already doing some Japanese things, then maybe it makes sense to go and take a visit to Nissan's classical collection. Like when building a game, you need to build these assets based on real material, scanning in some cases, and so cars especially need to be scanned, as Forza has learned. Oh, this is sick. Look at the dial. It looks like a Mini where it's got the dial there at the side. I hate that. I hate it so much. So I like the new Minis because they don't do that. Bro, what is happening to your shoulder? What is bro's arm doing? Anyway, cars can cost a lot more than the actual car itself to build it in a game. And in a lot of cases, that includes the dev time of months, if not maybe 6, 12. I've heard various things from different developers of how long a car can take to make, considering what about the customization options, making them fit, making them intertwine in the case of like Need for Speed, because you got all those customization options that all fit together naturally. Forza obviously does lesser of that, but point is, you don't just scan it and put it in the game. You scan it, rebuild it, and put it in the game is usually how 3D scanning tends to work. But anyway, my point overall here is that normally what happens is the final, or one of the final car packs in Forza Horizon tends to be an indication as to what's coming next. They build these cars, offset the cost by charging us for it in the previous game, so they get some of the money back now. And then in the next game, they can just put it in there from go. You just get access to it in the base game. Now, just to be clear, I don't necessarily think that's gonna 100% be the case. It could be in later version of the festival playlist or some crap that they usually pull, but my point is it'll be in the game and you won't likely have to pay any extra money for it. So Japan, they've done this a lot of times before, so it would not surprise me. What I almost forgot is this, the new Horizon Realms, and surprisingly, it's practically just a drift mode. What it's supposed to do is basically give you these areas where you get score. This one is a oval track, but on the middle of it, it gives you a drift pad with very obviously things to drift around. It's an incredibly simple system, but again, one of the final updates for the game. Normally what they do is hint towards what's coming in the future. So a skill mode, it's a drift mode, isn't it? Drift, Japan, drift, slide. Back to Forza Horizon 5 on Back to Forza Horizon 5 on PS5. And the fact that the game has arrived here already is pretty interesting. Now, this could just be the fact that Microsoft in general, of course, is trying to bring more games to more people, meaning more money. But great news, it means that you can play the games that you wouldn't have been able to play before. We've spoken about this quite significantly. No, the next game, possibly being Japan, would kind of make sense. No, that it's now on PlayStation. Get it going, get it people hyped, get people buying the game. I mean, ultimately, they can just double dip. But I said, if Forza Horizon 6 was planning to come this year, I kind of didn't expect them to release this because it took so long for them to do. And now, we are very close to the next Xbox event in where there's a potential we could see something, but I'm now kind of doubting it a little bit. I'll talk more on that in a minute. Xbox has forever tried to capture a Japanese audience, and they failed to do so many times, canceling some games and quite frankly just failing and not doing so. I mean, Sony is a Japanese company. At one point, them and obviously Nintendo decimated based on the games like Monster Hunter alone. Monster Hunter used to just be a PlayStation and Nintendo thing, but these days it's now available everywhere and it's come to PC, and so it's just become more popular. That was really cool to see, by the way. Microsoft having a game based in Japan and based on Japanese cars, which is a big push for their community, their culture, just kind of makes sense, right? That they would time this perfectly. I mean, realistically, they're fighting a losing battle, so what better way than to jump in with something like Forza Horizon and have a Japanese map and appreciate their culture in a proper way. Properly. Now, realistically, that's the solid kind of side of things. But I do want to give some counterpoints as to why I think maybe Forza Horizon 6 may not see Japan. Oh man, they fixed the rear bumper on this thing? I'm just incredibly disappointed. It looked pretty sick with the rear bumper gone. Anyway, another location that has been rumored for so long with Forza Horizon is Germany. Now, Germany is one that I've always kind of been like, but they did England, so they could pretty much do anywhere. Not to say I dislike the idea of Germany. I think it could be really cool if they incorporate the manufacturers and stuff. Like, they could really go in depth with some German car culture. But Germany is already a pretty solid Xbox location, so it's a matter of, do they want to gain or do they want to hold? And I think, realistically, they're looking to gain right now. So I'm going to say I don't really know on that. There is also another thing that I've kind of assumed will come at some point for a really long time now. Forza Horizon 6 Dubai? Maybe? I don't know. Look, a couple of points on this. Ultimately, they love their sand. They love their sand dunes in Forza Horizon. They have been throwing a lot of these rally spec supercars into the game, and it's the perfect game to receive them. Also, you know, the crew, please add them as well. I kind of assumed that we could see something on the lines of that in the future. I'm not necessarily saying it's going to be now, but it would be the perfect playground for these new cars they've been adding with this and the Porsche. And they've got a couple others who are already here. In fact, the latest expansion, although it had some really cool roads that some people think could translate to Japan. Bro, are you really going to force me to do the DLC again? Anyway, I don't think a rally expansion island necessarily screams Japan to me. What I think it What? Oh, we're going to jump over. What I think it demonstrates realistically is sand, rally. It's more bloody rally. Forza likes rally. Yeah, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that again. That's what I'm saying. But if I'm really honest, what I really want to see do a Japan before anyone else is a Rockstar or a, well, Need for Speed. Those, not necessarily even a Midnight Club. Next GTA, I want to see Japan built by one of those when we're looking at the form of the world of racing in a way. GTA will do it decently, but of course Need for Speed will just... Mwah! I want to see that. Okay, let's talk a little bit about the case of when, because that is going to be a question that people are going to ask me, so I thought I'd leave it here for you. My friends, I don't have a bloody clue. And anyone that says that they do is lying out of their bottom. Okay, no, I have a little bit of an idea. Thanks for sticking with me. Next month is an Xbox event, kind of like the E3 event, but E3 is dead. So I assume if we're going to have it this year, or maybe early next year, we will likely hear about it at that event. So next month, bringing us a release date of this year if they were to reveal it. Now, you might be wondering, could they do a Forza Motorsport type date? Probably not. That thing was delayed and that was a messy development. This one should be a little bit more clean cut. GTA is also delayed until a year from now, so early 2026, which if Forza plan to release then, well, they're now panicking and screwed because they're going to have to delay Fable or that, and it gets messy. Fable, by the way, developed by another studio entirely. I'm not saying there's no crossover, but they've got dedicated office locations for each title. That's kind of how they're splitting it. They've actually got 3 locations, and they're working on 2 games that we know of. But both of those games rely on Forza Motorsport to make progress and see improvements, and nonetheless, I think it's at a place now where they, for the most part, are there. At least as they can build on a previous game. It is still bare bones and I wouldn't recommend it. Go watch my previous video on that if you want. But with Fable already delayed to next year, I didn't imagine they would have been planning. So there's a chance that we could see the game in the September to November release window now that GTA has been delayed. They could be going crunch time to get there, but I do believe there's a chance that we could see it. Otherwise, Microsoft's going to give them another year and maybe delay Fable into 2027, and I don't think they're going to be doing that because we're already then looking, and I hate to say it, 2027, 2028 is where we're looking at new console generation. It's stupid. I don't agree with it, but it's already that close. Okay, look at the dates, PS4 to PS5 and so on. It's daft. I know, but Forza Horizon 5, the interest is already going to be dwindling, like, hugely. It's an old game, nonetheless, and it's not really that great of a game overall. There have been better Forzas in the past, and I pretty much guarantee that every single one of you in the comments or watching this video will agree with that. There is a different Forza that you prefer. And so to use it as a push into the next game, I think is pretty an interesting idea. There's also the chance that, you know, it comes to PlayStation a little bit later. But with GTA, I kind of doubt it. So, to summarize, Japan is possible, and I think there's a lot of things pointing towards it. It's not a guarantee, but it's likely. Do I really care about the location of a Forza game? No, I actually don't. I think for the most part, it will do well no matter where the damn game is set. And I don't necessarily think Japan needs to be, but it would kind of make sense logically and efficiency-wise based on Forza Motorsport and the recreation of the Japanese cars and basically everything we've bloody spoken about so far. And the case of when, if we don't see it at the end of this year, maybe the end of next year, and Fable come out in the summertime. There's mentions of studios panicking about the GTA delay, but come on. You should have expected it, right? Even I was one that thought they could make it. Mate, I mean, look at that trailer. That game looks done. But to reduce crunch, I'm happy to see a game delayed and have a little bit more time, because what realistically the delay is 5-6 months at most. Anyway, let me know what you think. Do you think it's going to come to Japan? Do you think it's going to come this year? I'm waiting for your answers.